So today we're joined by Hannah from Valentine Clays. Thank you for coming.
No problem. Nice to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story of Valentine Clays, how it began?
Okay, so Valentine Clays began in 1979. It was started by my granddad and my dad. And my granddad used to make clay recipes for another local ceramic firm. And there was a customer that wanted him to make a clay body for an insulating product, like electrical insulators. And the company he was working for at the time were like, we don't want to do it. So my granddad thought, well, if you don't want to do it, I'm going to set up my own clay manufacturing business. And that's literally how it started. And he approached my dad, who worked for the Michelin at the time, and he's a mechanical engineer, and said, shall we go into business together? You can keep the machines running and I can develop the recipes. And that's kind of really simple how it got established.
And what's your own journey into the business?
It's been tough. It's been really difficult, which I'm sure you know what family businesses are like. So I've had to fight to be in my business because my dad was adamant that he did not want me in it. So much so that every time I tried to get in the business, he would sack me. So it's been very, very tough. It's been tough, but it's made me more of a tenacious and difficult person, I suppose, more of a fighter. It makes you a fighter. Mm-hmm. So I think the reason he was so adamant that he didn't want me involved was more about that he felt that this is just a little business. It's not necessarily going anywhere and you can go out into the big wide world and do better. So from a career point of view, I was doing quite well. And I think he thought, do you know what? You can just go and live in London, live in America, do whatever you want to do and do better than Lilo Stoke. Whereas it's just in my blood, like clay is literally running through my blood. And I was just adamant that that's what I wanted to do, but I had to bide my time. So I had to go away, learn my skills, learn my craft really, and bring that back to the business and prove to my dad that he needed me. So it's been pretty tough. I mean, I can talk through it if you want me to, the process of my career, or do you want to ask me some other questions?
I think,
go for it. Tell us your story.
We can always cut it, Hannah.
Yeah, well, I will talk. I do like to talk. You'll get that impression. So if you just want to,
we'll cut this.
When I see it, I'll be like 2 seconds. You'll just have cut.
Tell the story. Tell your full story for half an hour, and we'll just cut it all out.
You could. I was just thinking you could rest your voices if you like for a bit with this one.
I need to sleep anyway. So go for it.
She's heard it before. So basically, Dad was very adamant he didn't want me involved. So I had to like carve a different career out. So I just kind of did what I enjoyed, and I suppose I'm quite a creative person. And I kind of decided that I wanted to try fashion. Mm-hmm. So I did a product development degree specifically for the fashion industry. So I went to the London College of Fashion and studied there. Which was great experience. The particular course that I was on had a sandwich year in it. So you had a third year where you worked in industry, which I think I would have, always say to any young person, look at doing something like that because it really instills a bit work ethic into you and gives you something for your CV as well. So it makes it so much easier when you graduate. So I did a year in industry, and I was really fortunate that my year in industry was in New York. So American Eagle Outfitters, which are quite a big company in America. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're very preppy wear that they kind of design and sell. They come over to England. So they come over because they love UK designers. So they came over to our college and they were interviewing people for design apprenticeships really. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go along and just blag it and just say to them, look, I'm not a designer, but I'm really interested in PR and I will work really hard for you. Would you consider employing a UK kind of potential PR person who knows absolutely nothing at this point, but can work really hard for you? And luckily, I think the gift of the gab did help. And they were like, yeah, okay, we'll employ you, come over. And usually in America, you don't get paid for work experience, but they did pay me. It was $10 an hour I got paid. And I did really well towards the end of my time. They extended my time to keep me longer. And then they back paid me $12 an hour, which was a lot of money back then. So it was great to be in a position where I was earning, living in New York, and had the best time. I was only 21. Best time apart from when the Twin Towers fell, because I was my second day of work, but that was another story. But it was a great experience living overseas, working for an American company. And I spent about nearly 2 years doing that. I then came back to the UK and finished off my degree. I was adamant I wanted to go into PR and marketing. That's what I wanted to do. It was really difficult because I've got a product development degree. It isn't that easy to translate into getting a role like that. I tried really hard to get PR marketing roles. Couldn't, but I could walk into a buying job. So I knew I could walk into a buying job. So I went for Arcadia. So their buyers admin. I can't even speak. Hang on.
Just water.
Hang on. They do like, I forget the role. So it was a buyer's like admin type role scheme that they do at Arcadia. So I went to work and I managed to get on the scheme. So I went to work as like a buyer's administrative assistant.
Yeah,
that
Like a
is
grad
the role.
scheme.
Yeah, basically applied for Arcadia did their buyer's administrator scheme, and I managed to get on. And I worked for Arcadia specifically for Evans. So I did formal wear and just supported the buyers that ran that department. And I did that probably for about 12 months, and it was quite hard work. I was in fashion for quite a while, and I kind of realised that it wasn't an industry for me. I didn't appreciate the bullying that went on. And I just thought, do you know, there's more to me than this, and I'm not going to put up with it. So I decided to make the really tough decision around the same time when my relationship broke up, to move back to Staffordshire, and which was the best thing I ever did. So I did move back up north, became a holistic therapist for a year, and worked at Hall Cross as part of their new team. So I just wanted to do something really, because I had such bad experience in industry. I just wanted to do something that was really different. So I did that for a year. And then thought, no, I better get back into the real world. And I didn't. I went traveling then. I went backpacking for 2 years. I have to remember. Sorry, I'm quite old and you have to remember back then. I went backpacking for 2 years, which was great. And then I thought when I came back, right, I'm going to have to get back into the real world. And I got a job as a marketing manager for a local spa and got back into marketing and PR really in that world. I then got a job working for a local agency, so marketing agency. I'm not going to name, marketing agency, and then got poached by my client because it wasn't in my contract. So I worked for Emma Bridgewater. So they poached me and I became their marketing manager, and I spent a couple of years at Emma Bridgewater doing amazing things for them, in terms of I was really involved in turning it into more of a tourist attraction. So I was so interested in that. It's like we closed off the courtyard, we kind of developed the studio space, the paint pot kind of aspect to it. I really enjoyed working for Matthew and Emma as people because they brought that family element.
Yeah.
And I could see that, looking at my family business and how I really loved how hands-on they were with the people. Everyone knew them. Dogs were in on the factory. Like it was just the way I thought I would want my business to be, so that they were people that you could speak to. You don't want to be too separated from your staff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And I really thought they did that really well. You felt part of a family.
Yeah.
And I think when you're a family business, that's what's unique about us. We ensure that people feel part of our story, and we're all a team, and we're working together for a greater good. Corporate settings, that's not what it is at all. You're a number.
Yeah.
You feel meaningless, whereas a family business is so different. So obviously I was working for Emma Bridgewater. And Emma and Matthew obviously aren't local, so often I'd be in meetings with other ceramic heads, including my dad. So my dad would be sitting in meetings, and there'd be the likes of Kevin Oakes, who at the time was running Steelite. You'd have Max Dudson there, and they'd be listening to me and things that I would be saying about our industry. And I felt like there was respect there, and they were always really supportive. They were always great people, and have always been really supportive of me and my development in the industry. And I think my dad just looked at me and thought, if these people are listening to her, she must have something about her. Maybe I should listen. And I think that's when he decided, we started having conversations about me properly coming back into the family business and looking at what I contribute, because I was making a difference where I was and people were listening. I think it made Dad think, well, actually, I can't grow this business or develop it anymore. And if I'm going to grow it, I need her to spearhead that kind of side of things.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us back on theme in a nice roundabout way, because it's all about the innovation, that creativity. And without innovation and creativity, you then don't move forward. So you need that fresh set of eyes. You need somebody with different ideas and somebody to come in and put all of those ideas down to then move on and do something different and something special.
Exactly. I think it's really important. And I think when you've got, so our business, is, I remember, 46 years old now. And I think when you've been in that role, like my dad or, with your mum, when they've been in that role for a long period of time, they miss things, they don't see things. So it's really good to have that youth coming in that can see things differently and can inject a bit of life into it. Like today, for example, I've had a brilliant day today and yesterday. I'm launching 6 brand new products, which are revolutionary. And that, for me, honestly, I get such a kick from product development. I can't tell you, because that is my background. That's what my degree is. That's what I learned. But absolutely love it. Like, this has been 2 years in the making, what we've launched today. And I'm just so excited because it's all about sustainability as well. So it's a new product that's never been seen in the UK. So it's a stoneware clay that you can fire extremely low at an earthenware temperature, and is still vitrified. So that's a problem sometimes, the vitrification point. And it just means that it's going to save my industry a hell of a lot of money. So
is that from the energy used because of the lower temperature?
Yeah. So an issue that the ceramic industry is, we're a high energy intensive usage industry, and it's generally down to our kilns. So when we fire our products, often, especially stoneware product, you've got to fire it around 1280 degrees. So it's really, really expensive to do that. So if you can drop that temperature, even like 100 degrees is massive, and the cost saving for businesses to do that is huge as well. So what we're trying to do, obviously, in my role as president for Ceramics UK, I'm heavily involved in our industry's issues, and I lobby government and do all sorts of things to try and get people to listen to the challenges that we face. So this is my way of doing my bit as part of the supply chain, making products that I know people need and that will help, with the energy crisis that we're facing.
I think it's worth, because I didn't realise this until we've had a chat around what clay is. And then come on to innovations, because actually...
What do you think clay is now?
Clay has a recipe. There are different recipes of clay. It's like a cake.
So you do listen to me?
Occasionally, yeah. Occasionally you'll tell me things that go over my head. Sometimes it seeps in. Talk to us about clay, though. Talk to us about... Because you mentioned a few different terms. What's a clay recipe? Because the layman, sometimes clay is just clay. It comes out of the ground, but it doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't just come out of the ground, and you've kind of explained it quite well, and I'm glad you do listen. So clay, I explain it. The best way to explain clay is like a cake recipe, because I think people think it's just dug out of the ground and there you go. It's not that simple. It is chemistry. It's lots of different raw materials that are blended together to enable a clay to behave in a certain way. So that's the best way to explain it. So I kind of say, how you've got a Victoria sponge and then you've got a chocolate cake. In essence, they look very different, but they taste different. But there's some similarities there, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same with clay. So there's lots of different raw materials that go into it. Like a porcelain clay is extremely white, but then you have a terracotta clay that's red. They're very, in essence, different. But that'll have to fire at 1300 degrees, whereas that'll fire at 1180. They're different, and it's all down to the properties that are within the clay. And it's all different, lots of different raw materials that you blend together in a big mixer. And that's really how you do it.
And that's the part you guys do?
Yeah, so we mix it together and it's in liquid form at that point. So then what we've got to do is remove the water. And then once the water's removed, it's too hard to use. So then you have to put it through another process, which we call wedging and kneading, like bread, and de-airing. So you've got to de-air the product. You've got to wedge and knead it to make it malleable and soft enough for someone to get their hands on it and to throw with it. So it's a very simple process, actually. But it's complex in the sense of it is chemistry, and it's really difficult. So if I gave you a clay body now and you were quite a technical person, you still would not be able to decipher exactly what's gone in to make that clay body. So that's what makes it quite unique sometimes. We can make recipes that we just know you can't replicate. You can try, but you will never get it exact.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So you can be quite creative with what you make.
Yeah, and I guess that plays into the innovation side, doesn't it? Because actually, by the sounds of it, you personally are very creative, but also you've bought that, like this new range, for example, is innovation, creativity is a way to stay ahead.
Yes, it is.
But obviously...
You want to be a leader in your industry. You don't want to be a follower. So it's much better to be, I always feel it's much more complimentary to be a leader and people try and copy and recreate what you're doing, which generally is what happens. And I just think, well, I take that as a compliment because that's good. I want to be leading.
So your innovation that you've launched today,
so excited. Sorry.
how long's that? So we've mentioned this a couple of times around innovation can take time.
It does.
So how long, when you're developing a new clay, how long does that kind of thing take?
I mean, you can do it quickly, but I would say, if I'm honest, we've taken a good 2 years to develop this because it's a range. It's not one clay. So I can develop one clay quite quickly if I wanted to, depending on what we're doing, how busy the technical manager is. We can develop a clay in a couple of months, really. I'd say in 6 months is a good lead time for developing a clay body, but to do it properly and to do it to the level that we're doing, because we were creating a range of clay called low fire. So low fire is the range of clays. And within that is low stone. So low stone is the new range, but we'll have more than just stoneware that will factor in my low fire range. But it's a process of I'd say 2 years really of looking at, first of all, you've got to understand what your customers want. So you do your research, understanding what's the gap in the market, what do we think we need. We do a lot of focus groups, a lot of listening to people, trying to understand what do we think's missing. And then we work on looking at developing that. And that's then looking at the product. Then obviously you've got to trial it. Then you've got to look, and it takes a lot of time getting lots of aspects right with it. Then it's marketing it. How are you going to market it? Are we going to come up with a name? What names are we going to come for the 6? What's going to go on with bagging? All this. There's a lot of process involved in product development, and it's not something you can do overnight, not if you're going to do it well.
No, we're in an age now as well where obviously clay and pottery is steeped in heritage locally to where we are as well, and that's a huge part of the local industry, I suppose. But there's a certain way that things have been done for hundreds of years, but now obviously times are moving and there's much more of a focus on sustainability and things like that within the industry. And would you see yourself obviously then as an industry leader moving that forward?
I would, but I think I'm a bit of a mix because the processes I use are very traditional, very simple. They've been done for hundreds of years. The process I'm doing, I mean, the machinery I've got in my building, I've got like a William Bolton filter press from 1972 that I've completely refurbished because it's good at what it does. Yeah. That's a much better machine than if I buy a new one now.
But again, on the same hand, sustainability is more than just the materials you're using. You're reusing a machine and you're looking after a machine that's ages old because it works.
Yeah, and it works well. So there is the side of me where I use very traditional methods and, traditional machinery, but then I can be innovative with my product. And that's where I'm innovative and more of, I would say, an industry leader. And, we're making changes. We're trying to help our industry where we can as part of that supply chain, bringing that energy cost down, doing what we can, because that's a massive issue right now. And that's why you'll see, unfortunately, we do receive a little bit of bad press in our industry where people get this misconception that, well, it's an industry that's dying, it's not doing well. Well, that's not true. There are those of us that are struggling, and that's around the energy crisis that we're currently dealing with and the lack of government support around that, and understanding that we are a foundation industry. Without ceramics and without clay, you wouldn't have lots of other industries, and that lack of understanding there, that basically you wouldn't have a mobile phone. It's got over 200 ceramic elements in a mobile phone alone. You wouldn't have this mic. You wouldn't have a car. You wouldn't straighten your hair. There's so much that you wouldn't be able to do.
Couldn't straighten your hair.
You would really struggle with that. You wouldn't be able to straighten your hair, Josie. Can you imagine life without straighteners? What would you do?
I cannot imagine that.
Imagine Lucy. How would she cope?
My car, I don't care about. My straighteners, that's what I need.
Your mobile phone, you struggle without. But can you imagine? Our lives would be so different without ceramics in it. And I don't think people understand that. And that's why we're classed as a foundation industry, because we uphold so many other industries. Construction wouldn't exist. Medical wouldn't exist. Honestly, it just bemuses me that people just think, well, it's just this.
Yeah.
No. Ceramics isn't just that. That's, yes, important and very important locally because we've got so many people that manufacture things like this locally, but it isn't just what we're about.
Just on that point, though, in terms of that lack of knowledge, now, general public, you might expect it. Not everyone knows everything, and that's fine. But why do you think, not going too political because it's not a political podcast, is it?
Yeah, let's do political podcast.
Why do you think, though, that understanding's not there? With it being such an integral industry to technology, as you said, I mean, even say local businesses have put people on, ceramics has gone to the moon, hasn't it? So why is it the government?
Yes, you wouldn't get to the moon without ceramics, just point that out.
So why do you think that's being missed, whereas maybe steel is being seen as a bit more of an industry that they want to save? Is it they just don't understand that
I think there's a few
ceramics isn't just cups?
I think there's a few things. I think they see steel as a bigger industry than us, for one. I think they employ more people than we do. I think it's completely that lack of knowledge and understanding. Having spoken to many ministers, and even unfortunately locally, even speaking to local people. I mean, our local ministers are great, by the way. They really help to shout about us. I can't knock them at all, but I've had conversations even with local councils trying to make them understand what we're about. And I do think there's a change. I can see a change in people listening and understanding. And I do wonder, it could be down to ourselves. I think Stokey, Staffordshire people, we're not great about shouting about ourselves and saying how great, how innovative, how creative we are. We're humble people.
Mm-hmm.
You do not say how amazing you are, because that is not what is done. Do you know what I mean? And I wonder if there's an aspect of we just get on with our daily lives and we don't actually stop and think, no, we need to champion our industry. We need to shout about it. We need to shout how great we are. So I wonder sometimes if the lack of knowledge isn't always their fault. It's our fault because we're not doing an awful lot to make that change.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Ceramics UK, which is the trade organisation that kind of helps with our industry, is changing that. We are doing a lot more around marketing campaigns, promoting ourselves, lobbying government, lobbying even locally, so people understand the importance of ceramics. So it's an education process that takes time to pass that information on.
Which is becoming a theme even after the number of podcasts we've done, that education is a sticking point when it comes to innovation or driving innovation through.
Yeah, hugely.
I mean,
it's just getting people on board, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it strikes me that with, say, what you're saying is actually probably an industry that's traditional, which is what you've come into, hasn't shouted about itself traditionally, but actually in a world where people need to shout louder, it's now needing to catch up with those sectors that have understood that earlier on. And obviously, so going back to your point around marketing, around what you're doing with Ceramics UK, you're bringing that innovation, creative thinking to that, to say, right, guys, this is what we've done for however many hundreds of years. We now need to do this. And that's also, and I think people think innovation is just product.
It's not.
It's thinking, it's creative thinking, it's
marketing
thinking
is
differently.
very creative.
Yeah.
You've got to be,
It's
as a
problem
marketer,
solving.
extremely creative. Like yeah, I get it. It is quite, it's difficult and it's different. I think what I wanted to point out in my industry, we've been very successful in the past, but it's been the tableware industry that has got a lot of press and seems to be extremely successful. Your Wedgwood, your Royal Daltons, people like that. Now our industry's changed, evolved. When we talk about creativity, talk about innovation and evolving and changing, that is what I'm seeing. So you've had a lot more of that happen over the past 100, 200 years, where ceramics isn't just about tableware anymore. It's in the medical industry.
straighteners.
It's in straighteners, but it's in tablets you take in the medical industry. It's in hips, it's in teeth, and that's evolved over the centuries, really, in terms of the industry changing. But I feel like the narrative and the story of our industry evolving and how innovative and how creative we are hasn't actually been spoken about particularly well, which is why it comes back to trying to change that. And that's where I think marketing and PR is so important, which is what I've been obviously president of Ceramics UK now. I'm going into my second year, and that's a huge thing for me. And we're doing things really differently. Next year, we're doing a massive ceramics summit is the aim, to try and just keep banging that drum and educating people around our industry and what we're about. And it's talking about education. We have lots of conversation around education and how important it is. And I know it's a passion of yours in particular. And it's education for the young. So we want to educate young people. We want to make them aware of stay in Staffordshire, stay in Stoke-on-Trent. There's some great opportunities, some great jobs. And there's quite a lot of work that we've got to do around that as business owners as well. Engaging with the colleges, engaging with the schools, engaging with the council, engaging with MPs in terms of let's try and see what we can do to help our young to want to stay in our county, to want to come into the ceramics industry so they don't think it's a dying industry. It's not. To help them to want to come and make wool.
Yeah, exactly. Come and
come and do
create more
packaging.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
look at a simple idea that obviously your mum had, and then look at how it's evolved and where you've got to with it today. That's like amazing. Like there's some great, I feel like there's some amazing stories in Staffordshire that are just not heard about, like little gems that people just don't know about. And if they knew about it, and we educated them more, they'd want to stay in our county and work for companies like yourselves, or think about even starting their own businesses up.
I think the other element that it struck me when you're talking about that education piece and innovation in your industry, especially in the area, is what you've done with Love Clay. Because I think that's a whole other area. So you're talking about clay developing in like an industrial kind of manufacturing element of your product, the education piece through Ceramics UK and through Educating the Young. But then you've got this whole great launch that you've done, pioneer in the area, I'd say, with that kind of thing.
Thank you.
That is about fun, education, tourism,
Yeah.
and it's I found it quite amazing to see a business that has an industrial business, but then doing something that's really also like it's creative and consumer facing, but also promoting the end of your product almost. Like this we make this and look what you can do with it. So talk to us a little bit more about Love Clay, because that completely is an innovation in itself.
Thank you. I mean, Love Clay, as you know, as a business, we've always got to look around corporate social responsibility, and we need to take that really seriously. And I think we can all do our bit as businesses in terms of what our skill set is. So I knew how, say easy, it's not been easy really, but I knew how easy it would be in a sense to create something where I could help people and educate people on the importance of clay. So that's a massive, like, it's a little...
Does some of that come from as well, your past experiences of being in a different industry and being treated the way you were, inspire you to want to do the opposite?
Yeah, I'm such a different manager. The way I manage and the way I deal with people is so different because of how I was dealt with, which is great. And I promised myself that I will never, ever make anyone that works for me ever cry, ever to feel that they're not good enough, ever to feel that there is no future in my business. I never want anyone to ever feel that. So it's always been important for me to make people feel part of a team, to feel part of the journey, and their opinion, no matter if it is, they may feel it's a silly opinion. It still matters. I still want to hear what you say, because actually there could be a gem in that and we could do kind of something with that. Now I've gone off on a tangent, haven't I? Because you asked about Love Clay.
No, go for it. No, because this is all ties in. Rose obviously asked the question that, have you done that? Does that kind of giving, empathetic side of you makes you more want to give? Because actually, I've done a course at Love Clay. Full disclosure, like something like that is, so giving to the area, education in the area, but having done that myself, the enjoyment we got out of it. You have a busy lifestyle. You come to an evening, you switch off, and you're doing something that's with your hands. That's of the earth. Yeah, not without going too spiritual, but of the earth. And you're creating something which is a fundamental human, which I think we are disconnected from as a human being.
Yeah, massively.
We're disconnected from creativity, which is why this podcast actually, as it evolves, has become quite important, because we really want to talk about the creativity is quite often seen as a lesser to maths and English and things like that, but it's actually a core skill, and you use it all the time, problem solving. But I think, sorry, so that you can talk a bit more about it, because I'm stealing your thunder on it. But Love Clay, you've created a space which wasn't there before, which is, I believe, one of the first of its type in the area.
Yeah, no, it was.
And has actually done some great things. And
I mean, we're coming up. Do you know what? I actually think we're not too far off 10 years for Love Clay, thinking about it. I think Love Clay has been established for 8 years now.
Oh.
So it's been quite a long time. And the whole point of it was never, Love Clay isn't about making money. Love Clay for me is a way to give back. It's a labour of love, really. I do it because it's a way that I can educate people and help them to realise, like, come and have a go with clay, and you'll see, like, how addictive it is and how it doesn't matter if you don't think you're very good at it. There's some aspect of it that you will be. It's such a versatile product.
Regardless, you're still creating something as well.
And who says
that? How good it is.
And who says that isn't creative? Unless you're juicy. Who says that isn't creative? It is. You can hand build, you can throw, you can sculpt. There's so many different ceramic disciplines, and the whole point of Love Clay is to just give people a chance to handle clay and handle ceramic, just have a go. And it's escapism. They use clay an awful lot in rehabilitation. So we sell a lot to hospitals and different places where they use it as part of their rehabilitation program, because it's just so, once you touch clay, it's just so tactile. And I've also, like, as part of the Love Clay kind of experience, I've created a gallery at Love Clay, Valentine Clays as well, where you can come and see what amazing, beautiful ceramics can be made with my product. Now, I've not made it look like a museum, because once you put glass in front of this beautiful vase, which we won't talk about because it's not really from China, but if it was a beautiful locally made vase, think about your audience. Next time. If you put a piece of glass in front of that, it disengages you straight away from it.
Yeah.
But you take that glass away and it engages you. You want to touch it, you want to feel it, you want to pick it up, see where it's made. If you know. And that's where I built my gallery space like. So the gallery space is so people can come and engage and feel part of the ceramic piece they're looking at, and then go into the workshop and create their own amazing piece of art. And that's the kind of aim of Love.
It's kind of what
really.
I did, isn't it? I created a great piece of art, which is now sat in there.
I think, hasn't Lucy hidden yours?
Yeah,
and
hidden it
put-
all away. It's
I've seen
cupboard.
her arts everywhere. It's beautiful. And then she just hides
Mine's
yours.
in the corner. Yeah, it's
doesn't
hidden.
she? Yeah,
It's
that's
hidden.
best for it, really.
Best
Although some people in certain parts of the world would love what you
What happened to
made.
empowerment?
I don't know. All friends taking it.
Yeah.
No, you did very well in the
Thanks.
course.
Thanks.
But you can't help it if you've got a creative other half. It's so much better.
But you joke, but I consider, please don't take the mick out this. I consider myself creative in the sense, from a creative thing, I can't draw. So if you ask me to draw something, or you ask me to, I don't paint a pot. I don't necessarily consider myself creative in the creative in what is deemed as the conventional manner. So I don't go, right, draw something and it looks great. What I do think, and this comes back to what I was saying about creativity, is I do think creativity, and maybe it's making myself feel better, comes in other forms.
It's
and
the
just
thought
drawing.
process as well, and that's kind of why
Yeah.
businesses work as well, because you have people who think differently, but then you also have a team around you who can execute your ideas or your thoughts that might, like you've said previously, like they might just be a small little nugget, but it could turn out to be something amazing with the right people around you who can add into that.
Yeah, and you need
Yeah.
that mix, don't you? So you have the creative thinking, you have so as you said before, problem solving, creative thinking, creative writing, then someone who can create it visually for people. You've got someone who can then, as you say, design the packaging of it. You've then got someone who can go and sell it. Because, I think even account, I mean, we won't talk about creative accounting because obviously that's a completely different type of creativity, isn't it? But if you think about it, every role has the ability to have someone creative in it. And I think sometimes creativity is seen as this. But I think what you're talking about actually, and what's coming out more and more is creativity, it comes in many forms. So whether it's designing a new clay, which will take a different type of creativity, or whether it's coming to Love Clay and creating a fantastic piece, there's creativity in different ways across your business.
There is. And then it also goes back to my product. So clay is creative. So anyone can pick up, like you said before, anyone could pick up a piece of clay and do something with it.
Yeah.
And it's being creative. It just, it makes people do that. So even those that are like, I'm not creative at all, and actually find that they are, because it's hidden within them and they've never had the chance to just have a play or do experience clay. And I think that's what clay's brilliant at, just bringing out creativity from people when they don't even realize they've got it. And that for me is great, because then it shows to them the importance of creativity, and it shows that everyone's got an element of creativity without realizing it.
There's a really great quote that says, you don't grow old because you stop playing. You don't stop playing because you grow old because you stop playing.
Yeah, that's true.
And actually, I think there is something, isn't there, about having clay or something in front of you and just playing and just having a go and doing something different that is, again, trying to just get your brain, the other part of your brain, to work.
Yeah.
And
that's why I said before, they use it when there's, generally for people who suffer with mental health, it's massively used because it really helps to bring them out of themselves. And they use it an awful lot for that purpose.
Wow.
You find. So it's fascinating that just a product from the earth or a product from the land like yours, what that can actually do and how it can bring people out of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, from a wool perspective, we have people sending images of felting and things like that. So
What
as
about
soon as people
apple
see,
collecting?
yeah, apple collecting, you've had apple
That was so
collecting,
good. I want to I'm going to use that concept, using the wool to because I've got a big apple tree, cooking apple tree in my garden. So I need to actually start harvesting that. And it's thinking, how do you store it? And then one of our friends was like, could I use your wool for this? And it was such like, I didn't even think about it. I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah, and
That's
those kind of
creative.
things. But this is the thing about creative and creative business. So natural materials, promoting creativity, and I think that education piece. Okay, so you've received this. What can you do with it? In the same way, whether it's educating about what clay is, educating about how it's made, educating about what you can do with it. All of those elements. I think I think when we talk about innovation creativity, it's across businesses. And it's not specific to a sector, but there's different businesses doing different things, and that's something we kind of want to highlight is the businesses in each sector that are doing something slightly different that's outside the norm, like you guys are doing. Again, going back to your new range, is obviously that's like pioneering in the sector, and staying ahead of the curve almost, isn't it?
I think it's really important to do that, and I think also, like we've talked before about collaboration, and it's about different industry leaders and how we can collaborate together to help each other and come up with innovative ideas. And I love that. I find that there's a lot of symmetry between our businesses and between us as individuals. And since we've obviously met through the business world, but we've become friends since then because...
Have we?
Yes, we have. You do pay me, so I have to be. But we've become friends. Do you know what I mean? We've become friends. We're meant to be sensible at this point. So now I'm losing my train of thought. Stop it. I was trying to say that it's like, it's really refreshing to speak to other people like yourself, because I think sometimes can be quite lonely running a business, and speaking to other people that run similar type of businesses, are very creative, are very forward thinking. It really helps your business. So we have loads of conversations around, how are you running your business? How are you doing this? We talk about haulage, we talk about all sorts of stuff. And we had a little, what we called a bit of a power group, didn't we, of female women locally who are all business owners. And we would get together, we'd have dinner, and then we'd just talk about things. We'd talk about, how do you do this in your business? And I find that so helpful, because it can be so isolating, and it just helps me to become more creative, more innovative.
Yeah, and shared knowledge is powerful, isn't it?
Exactly. And what I think is so nice about our area is, because you are it's a smaller area, everyone kind of knows everyone, but we're champions. Like, there's so many female champions locally where we all help to raise each other up. We all help each other. If we need support, you need something, we know we can go to each other and say, God, my IT company's absolutely crap. Have you got a better one? Yeah, this is who I use. And, we've used ours and he's brilliant. You'll come to me, say, haulage companies, what's going on with that? It makes us more empowered as business owners. And I think collaboration for me is really important, and collaboration can be on many levels. Just that kind of support network for me, I don't know what I would do without it. And I'm just trying to bring it back to the creativity side as well of it.
Well, so talking about collaboration, actually, you mentioned that you were trying to learn some lessons from the glass industry in terms of
hydrogen.
Heat power. Do you find yourself, as well as the local area collaboration, which you're absolutely right, it does, like when I speak to you, it harnesses creativity. Do you find then cross sectors, you get the same?
So industries talk. So we talk, ceramics industry speaks to the glass industry loads. We always have discussions with kind of glass futures, and because you can learn a lot from each other. So for example, the glass industry were years ahead of us with hydrogen testing and looking at if that was an alternate gas source for them as an industry. And we've tried to learn from them what they found, and we've been doing our own research. Obviously, Ceramics UK managed to get £1 million from the government to support us in terms of looking at hydrogen as an alternate gas for the ceramic industry. I have to be honest, I'm still dubious that is something that will be accessible for many of us, because there's lots of factors with hydrogen. I could go off on tell you all about it, but you'd probably find
we'll have another podcast for that one.
Yeah, boring. But yeah, bringing it back to collaboration with other industries is important. It does happen. And often mergers can happen, like Ceramics UK last year merged with the Brick Development Association. So Bricks obviously is ceramics, but they have their own trade association. And we find, I'm a big believer, we're stronger together and we've got a bigger voice if we all work together than if you just all going off on your own little tangents. And that's why I think it's really important, collaboration on many levels.
Yeah, and then you get, don't you, within that, you get, go back to creativity, is that it's not just one person's mind. You might you have the creatives and you have the doers, and sometimes doers can be creative and vice versa. But if you've got enough people in that room, there's going to be a group of people in there that can come up with the ideas and help deliver it. Yeah. And I think they're the two big keys, aren't they? But you need to come up with the ideas first, which is where creativity.
Ideas are easy. Ideas aren't the problem. It's the delivery of them. So it's fine. I've come up with loads of ideas over the last 10, 15 years, but it's actually making them a reality because it takes a lot of work. And in fact, I was having this conversation with some of my customers today. We were talking about ideas. I was congratulating another female lady who we were laughing, saying, she said, I used to just come and buy just one bag of B17C from you. And I'm like, and look at you now, you're a powerhouse. Look at what you've done and how you've developed and what a great business model you've got now through her hard work and, you know, tenacity really. And we were talking about ideas and how ideas, you know, the ideas are great. You can come up with lots of ideas, but the difficulty is having the time, the resource to make them a reality and having the right people around you to make that happen. Yeah. So like we were talking before, it is a process. It's team is so important. And that's what I love seeing about Woolcool, because I think you're such a good team. You all work together and you all collaborate together as individuals. And, you know, you create a great product, but you're really good with your branding, your marketing. It's not just the product itself. You are, honestly. And, you know, I like to think we try and emulate that a little bit. And, you know, I think you're good at what you do. And it inspires you to see other businesses that have got that. And they're doing it well, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's looking around you, isn't it? And recognising the things in businesses you can learn from.
I mean, look at what you've achieved, though. I mean, you are very motivational, like to other people. Like, I always would look at you, and I know you're my friend, and I'm being nice at the moment, which is rare. But I do, even before I knew you, because you knew my dad. Yeah. My dad was like, I met this amazing woman. She's so young girl. I met this amazing girl. And she's like so motivational. You need to meet her. You need to talk to her because what she's doing with her family business is so interesting. And, you know, it is interesting. And so all the accolades and everything you've achieved, the Queen's Awards that you've achieved, everything is well deserved. And I think it's motivational for others. And I think we have to do that as businesses. We have to encourage other businesses that they can, you know, achieve what you've achieved and get to where you are. And I think that's really important to support the businesses, support the women and men. I'm not being all feminist sitting here. I think it's good to inspire people if you can.
Yeah, I think the thing we want to do is encourage challenging the status quo. So, you know, okay, as a business, you can continue with what you're doing absolutely fine. There's loads of fantastic businesses that aren't necessarily innovating day in, day out. But just to, as you're moving with the time, is to think a bit differently, you know, and be open to it. Even if you, like you say, at the end of it, you decide we're not going to do it, we'll be open to the ideas. Because actually, like you say, someone come up with something little and that then spirals into something major. Yeah. And I know...
and sometimes ideas you shelve for a bit. But then you revisit them. Yeah. So sometimes, like, my team have great ideas. And I'm like, these are all great, but we'll kill ourselves if we're trying to deliver all of these right now. So it's like, let's, you know, I've got some great things that are going to happen in the next couple of years. But it's a time game, isn't it, sometimes? And seeing that actually maybe that's not right now, that's right for the future. And that's where you've got to be quite astute as a business owner and be realistic on what you can do and what you can't do and when you can do things. There's nothing quite like a family business. So I don't know, you potentially have worked elsewhere, but working for family businesses are their own like little entity, their own little quirk, because when families are together, it's very difficult. Like you just said, that love I have for my mum, or she's peeing me off, that annoyance she'll have for her. You can't separate that. Yeah. So to be professional all the time, I don't think it's feasible. I think it can be really difficult. And you try to be, especially when they annoy you in meetings, like when you're trying to run a meeting and they're having a separate conversation in the room that they feel is more important than what you're talking about. It's very annoying. But do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think family businesses are just very interesting dynamics.
I think my thing is probably less, a little bit mum, like that's a little bit there, you're right, but I think probably me and Jess. Yeah. So I think I want to work, we want to work for each other, so we want to make it work for each other. So I think probably some of the link that you're talking about is probably less to mum
And to each-
probably to
yeah.
each other. So like there's a link there where that it's not Jess who drives me, but I don't want her to be on her own and she doesn't want me to be on her own. So we've got each other's back. So if I ever feel like something's going to fall on her, I don't want it to fall on her. And I think she's the same. So you're right. There is another layer. There's a whole other layer with family business, I think.
And what drives me with my family business, obviously my sister hasn't been involved. She's getting involved now with Love Clay. So I'm needing a bit of help there. So she's helping with that. But for me, what drives me to try and make my business as successful as possible is my family. So I want to look out for my family. I want them to be okay. So that is a huge motivation. So I'm quite happy to work stupid hours and do whatever I can to make sure that they've got support, livelihood, whatever. And that's what motivates me. Plus my life's quite different. I think in my life as a business owner, I don't have the same issues or the same responsibility that other people have, such as yourself were talking about, your lovely little 2-year-old. I don't have children. I don't have a partner. I don't. Pardon?
You have a dog.
I have a dog. But my focus can be so. What I'm trying to say is,
It's
do you know
it's
my
you and
gardener
whatever you
pointed
want
this
to
out
do.
to me yesterday? Did I say this?
Yes.
Honestly, my gardener, lovely
One
guy.
of my responsibilities is
Lovely
looking after
guy.
my garden.
And you can call this lovely gardener. We're talking. He's like, "Oh, how was your holiday? How was life?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's all good." Apart from obviously, and he was asking me about my personal life because he's known me a long time since I split up with my husband. So he's known this, and he went, "Yeah, you're by yourself." Yeah, he's like, "It's because you're He said it's because you're a businesswoman. I says, "No," he said, "It's because you're a career woman." He said, "That's why."
You can't have everything. It's that.
That's what he said. Career woman. I thought that's an interesting topic. I thought you're probably right. Can you have it all?
I don't think you can.
No, I
you
don't
can't
think-
give everything
I
you
had
all.
this
And I've tried for 2 years, and you can't, and I've accepted it.
And I wonder. So I'm a big believer in like life happens the way it's meant to happen. I'm a big believer in all of that. And I think the reason I haven't been able to have children and all, settle down and do all of that is because if I did, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. And I find it so interesting. So many women will try and champion and say, "No, you can do it. You can have it all." And I wish you could. Like I would love for that to be
It
true.
depends on the level of
I
effort
really
you want
do.
to give things, though. Some people are happy with
can't
sort of just going about things. And
I just can't see how you could do it. How could you give your time to your business like we do now? But if I had children, I don't think I could. I don't know. It's difficult because I haven't got
be
children.
the dad.
But I don't know how I juggle it all because I struggle. I've talked about this before. Like I struggle juggling what I do in terms of running my business, and I can't say no, unfortunately. So like we get asked to do a lot of things,
Like a podcast.
Like a podcast. Do you want to do one? No, not really. It's my open day today, but you know what? It's you. No, I'm joking. Like it's not that like we've both been on the board of the chamber. We are Staffordshire. We're deputy lieutenants. I always say it wrong. I know I always say it American. I should know better. I am one. We're deputy lieutenants. Like we've got locally, like I'm on Ceramics UK. You do a lot of stuff on sustainability things. We've got other things that we're getting involved with shortly, locally as well, that we get asked to support and do a lot of things to help champion our great county. And I'm more than willing to do my part. But sometimes I feel like it's too much. Like it's really hard. I struggle saying no because I want to help everyone and make a difference. But then what happens is I end up, like my dad always says, you're what's this saying? You're like running yourself too thin. Like you do you know what I mean? I'm juggling lots of balls. I'm such a dick. I'm juggling lots of balls. Not those kind of balls, Josie. Thank you.
It's been cut anyway.
Such a dick. And you're going to drop balls. This is my point. When you're juggling too many things.
Spinning plates. Just spin plates.
Just spin plates.
Spin plates, please. Just spin those plates.
I'm
Hannah.
spinning plates. Yeah, I'm spinning too many plates and some are going to fall.
Spinning too many balls.
And that's my worry. I'm being really like open now. That's my worry. That you know this at the moment. We've had a conversation around that this week. That I just worry that I'm just going to drop those plates because it's really difficult and it's that art. It's a fine art, learning how to say no and picking those things that you think are going to make a difference and are going to matter, and you're going to make a change. And, you know, like, we've got ourselves in a position now where we can do a lot of good. We can support, whether that's the council, whether that's the chamber, whoever that is, we can try and help shape our county and help support others. But sometimes it's understanding that fine line between making sure you can help with that, but not taking the eye off your own business because that's your priority. And a few of our friends that are similar to ourselves have advised us to be very careful with what we do and what we don't, like, not to do too much. I've had a bit of mentoring from some of our friends around, like, you've got to say no. And that was one of the reasons I stepped down from the board of the chamber, which most people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't step down. And in fact, then it was like a domino effect. When I stepped down, then my other friends decided they wanted to step down. I'll go with that. It's not because I left. They're like, please come back on the board. No.
I think on the point though of just about time and creativity, I think one of the driving points around innovation is around not being left behind, and about, you know, like, so what you're saying about being like, I think it's the same thing as being asked to be part of something and thinking, oh, I could do something different there, ideas, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same with product, and it's the same with anything else, where there is a concern that if you're not moving forward, then what's going to happen? And if you're not involved in something, you know, a bit of FOMO really, if you're not involved in something.
And why would you not want to shape? If you could help to shape things on a local level or whatever that is, it's very difficult not to want to do that, I think, because that's who we are as people. Like, we're all about being innovative and shaping our industry in a sense. That's what we do. So, and I think that's a skill that not everyone necessarily has, or the energy or the drive behind that. So it's really difficult not to fall into doing other things around where you're bringing in your innovation, your creativity. And like we've discussed before, coming back to innovation and creativity, that isn't just about, yes, getting that clay and making that piece with that clay. It's being creative in terms of having the thought, having that kind of, like, the marketing, the sales. Creativity is in so many different elements, and innovation is. It's not as clear cut as.
That kind of answers sort of one of our questions that we ask everyone, is like, what does innovation mean to you, and what advice would you give to somebody if they were looking to do something more innovative?
So shall we take the first question and then ask that as a second, so I can make sure I answer it properly? So what do I deem innovation?
Yeah.
So innovation is thought. It can be as simple as a thought. So thinking differently. And I always like think, stemming from your 2-year-old, making sure that they're innovative, they think differently. We encourage them to come up with creative ideas, come up with them, even from just playing, whatever they do. Innovation is quite simple. It's a thought that then develops into something more. And that's how I see it. And it really needs to be encouraged.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to somebody in terms of encouraging them to be innovative?
Don't give up. So if you have that idea, you've just got to believe in it. It's about belief, working hard, and you will get there with it. And do not give up. I think if I've learned anything in life, to be in the position I'm in, the reason I'm sitting here now in the position I'm in is because I never gave up. Because if I gave up, then goodness knows where I'd be or what I'd be doing.
I have one more question. Stoke or New York?
I thought you were going to say Stoke or Vale. Vale! I thought you were going to bring it back to football.
It's time to end it.
Into Stoke or New York? In what sense?
Stoke or New York?
To live, to be. Well, I came back, so that should tell you everything. I chose to be in Stoke because I think they have the best people. I think with a creative county and city, I think, why would you not want to be in Stoke-on-Trent? We've got so many like great things in our city and county to shout about. So I'm one of those few people that actually made the decision to live here. Like I lived in New York, I've lived in London, I've backpacked, traveled around the world, I've seen so much, but my heart is here and I'm just pulled back to here, and there's nowhere quite like Stoke, I'm sorry. And I just miss the people. I just love that randomly you're in a supermarket and this old dear will go to you, oh, this is a good price, isn't it, love? And I love that. And I think you just don't get that anywhere else. And most places in the world can be very lonely.
To Stoke then?
To Stoke, of course.
Excellent. That would be my answer too.
Good.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us
It's
today.
okay.
It's
No
been
problem.
fun.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
Thank you.
We'll probably have more conversations in the future.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. It's been,
What?
it's been
There's loads of topics
pleasure.
in there to
Exactly.
talk about. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.